What are your guys' personal bests?
How have you managed to stay injury-free for the majority of your career?
How do you walk onto a college team? All right, guys, over the past few weeks, I have asked you to send in your questions via Instagram, YouTube, and all that good stuff. And today we are going over them. And since a lot of the questions had to do with myself and my wife, I will also be bringing her on board today for the video.
Okay, first question, someone said, not a question, but would love the breakdown of a 9-to-5 runner.
Basically is what we were doing in college, but for free, and we're not making any money. But it's all right because we're passionate about it. We love doing it. It comes with a cost. I don't know. It's at the end of the day, it's all about balance, right? It's really helpful that Mica and I both run together because we can run with each other. We keep each other accountable, and we both understand like what's going on with that.
I usually get up around 6 a.m. and it sucks because I'm not a morning person. Adam is a morning person. He has all this energy in the morning, but I don't. So I struggle getting up. But then once I'm up and head on my 8-mile run, I actually feel pretty okay. I try to get a longer run done in the morning if I can, unless it's a workout. And I head to work. After work, I'm going on my second run of the day. After that, we're making dinner and just trying to relax the rest of the night. And then we do it all over again the next day.
So the next question is, what are your guys' personal bests?
So I ran a 16 flat 0.5 5K, super close to breaking 16 minutes, 32:57 10K. That's probably the one I'm most proud of. And 9:23 3K indoors, 4:49 mile. I haven't ran the mile very often, so I'm hoping that one gets a little quicker, but I also don't run the mile a lot, so I don't know if it will.
And then my personal best starting at the mile, I've ran 4:10. That was up here in Utah altitude, so who knows what that converts to, doesn't really matter. In the open 3K, I ran, I think 8:14. Don't really like that event, so I don't do it too often. I was a steeplechaser in college, so I ran 8:47 in the steeple. That's also a 3K as well. 5K, 14 flat, 14.18. So painfully close to sub 14. I'm hoping to kind of maybe run another 5K this spring, hopefully get under that 14-minute mark. Haven't ran a 10K. Yeah, my marathon is 2:18:37, so. All right, next question is, why did you get into marathons so young? Yeah, let me let you guys on a little secret. Since I no longer run for a collegiate program or a team or anything like that of any kind, I get to do whatever races I want to do, which means I get to do whatever makes me the most excited. After graduation, I had been on the track for the past 4 years. I had done cross country for the past 4 years. And so the thing that got me the most excited was kind of running a marathon. And that's something that's really important to me, especially this post-collegiate life, is to only do stuff that gets me excited and to make sure that I'm having just fun in general. Because if you're not having fun, then there's no point in doing it. All right, just got done with the 20-mile long run. So no content from that today, unfortunately. We're gonna knock out some questions. The first question is, how much do you make off YouTube? And how fast do you have to be able to run to live a decent life off of just running? To be honest, I am not making that much off of YouTube yet, but the real money comes from collaborations and brand sponsored posts and such, which I haven't done too much on. I'm hoping to do more of that in the future. And then how fast do you have to be to make a living off of running? That is a hard question because it depends a lot on your own social media following, what event you do, sponsors and all that kind of stuff. But to be a professional, to get a pro contract, you probably honestly in the marathon need to at least be running a 2:12, probably a little bit quicker. And even then, there's so many people out there who are running world-class times who aren't sponsored by any big brands. So it's a complicated question, and in reality, probably the best way to get sponsored is showing up to big meets and doing really well at them. All right, the next question is, what kind of nutrition do you recommend? So I have tried a lot of different gels and goos and drink mixes and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, the one that I'm currently using and the one that I've been the most happy with is UCAN. I use a lot of their Edge energy gels. Come in a lot of different flavors. My personal favorite is the pineapple one. They're more like starch-based. You don't have the sugar high and the sugar crash, so it's a little bit more reliable, which I like. And they sit on the stomach really well. That's been the major thing for me, is trying to find a product that sits on my stomach really well. And some of the other brands just did not really work out for me. But UCAN I've never had a problem with whatsoever. So that's kind of, I'd recommend starting there and seeing how you like those.
Okay, next question. How How have you managed to stay injury-free for the majority of your career? My biggest advice would be to make sure you're eating and sleeping enough. You need to get enough calories in. You gotta prioritize like post-run recovery, pre-run fuel, all those things. And then also sleeping like 8 to 9 hours every night. Yeah, definitely sleeping and eating for the most part.
You have to balance recovery and you have to balance training. A lot of people think you get good by working really hard and training really hard, when in reality it's you have to recover harder than your training. So that's the most important aspect of it. I think another thing that a lot of people don't realize is strength training. A lot of injuries are caused by muscle imbalances and things like that. So being strong overall, I think, helps your body just be more robust. You need to switch your shoes every 400 to 500 miles. And realistically, you should have at least 2 pairs of shoes that you're running in at the same time. A lot of people will just have 1 pair of shoe and then run in that until it looks dead and then switch off. But I think the more pairs of shoes you have, just rotating that, I think really helps your body kind of strengthen different muscles as well as stay healthier. So pay attention to the shoes that you're wearing. Make sure you have more than 1 pair, and then, rotate them as best you can. Okay, next question is, can you still train with an injury? If so, how?
For me, I think it depends on the injury. It's really important to like strengthen that area and do your little exercises as much as you can. But yeah, if it's like a stress fracture or like a bone thing, I would say no, you have to take time off. And it's better to take time off anyways, because then you can come back stronger. And I just think it's good to let your body heal completely, and you can start fresh and feel good and not be stressed about your injury like coming back or anything like that.
Yeah, I just think you need to just be patient with your body. If you're hurt, you shouldn't be running. You can cross train, you can do all that stuff to kind of keep your fitness, but at the end of the day, if you need rest, it's best to get rest. I've never really had that many injuries in college, no bone injuries at least. I've had some Achilles tendonitis and things like that. And at the end of the day, the thing that actually got it better was doing the rehab exercises and making sure I rested. Next question is, any tips for managing burnout, also navigating college running and finding a team that's best for you? I think that the key for burnout is obviously making sure you are taking physical rests. Burnout comes at the end of a long season because it's been a long season. So I think whenever you do get a chance to rest in between seasons, you make sure you're actually resting, you're not thinking about running, and you're kind of doing all the stuff that will kind of help you have a sustainable season in the future. I also think it's all about balance. I think if you go all into running and you're really sucked in, that is doable for a while. I think it's okay to have a little bit of unbalance within the balance, but I just think you got to make sure that overall you are not neglecting other aspects of your life.
Yeah, to add to that, I think when you get ready for a season and you're in the thick of training and all that, I think you can use a lot of mental energy. And so not just physically you need a break, but mentally you need a break as well. And I think that coming back mentally refreshed will help you be able to set even bigger goals. And then making sure you keep things light and fun and exciting, because a lot of people take running too seriously sometimes. And at the end of the day, like, it's not that deep. Even though you love running, you also have to realize that it is just running. So just make the most out of it and not put so much pressure on yourself.
And then in terms of picking a college team, pick a place that you'd be happy with if you weren't running there. I think that just goes back to what we said before about having things that you can get excited about outside of running. You know, if running is your whole life at a school, that's fine. It just leaves you vulnerable to kind of some mental issues like burnout and other things like that.
I would say to go on as many visits as you can, reach out to as many coaches and teams as you can. I personally only went on like 2 visits, and I did a terrible job reaching out to a lot of different coaches all over the country. I kind of just stayed like in my little bubble of Utah. So I would say like really just be proactive and reach out to as many people as you can, just to kind of see what running is like at different places. And then also like meeting the team is really important, making sure like the people that you're running with every day are people that you like and connect with.
Mica's taking a nap, so I'm going to knock out some more questions. Okay, the next question is, do you have any advice for making the transition from track/shorter races to the marathon? Now, this depends on what event you are coming from. Obviously, the main difference when transitioning to the marathon is going to be volume. That's weekly mileage, as well as your workout volumes. Your tempos and your long runs are all gonna get longer. Now, this doesn't mean that you neglect the short stuff or any speed stuff. You look at myself, you look at Connor Mance and Clayton Young. we're on the track at least once a week doing fast stuff. So my biggest advice for transitioning to the marathon is go slow when increasing your mileage and volume of your workouts. You are not all of a sudden going to be able to be doing these 20+ mile long runs at the paces that you want to be doing. You're not going to be able to do these 8, 10, 12 mile long tempos right away. It's all about taking logical steps and increasing your volume and being patient with your body. Another tip for transitioning to the marathon is figure out your fueling early. That's going to save you a lot of trouble in the long run, just because fueling, at least for myself, was one of the more difficult parts of figuring out marathon training. If you can nail fueling in your longer sessions and in your long runs, you'll come off those feeling better and able to recover much more quickly. Next question is, do you take any supplements, and what supplements would you recommend? I do take a couple supplements, that's being iron, magnesium, and a vitamin D pill, just because those are all the things that runners tend to be deficient in. At BYU and most colleges, they'll at least test your blood once a year to make sure that you are not having any of these deficiencies as well. Mica, she supplements iron, and even with her supplementing iron every day, she still has to get iron infusions to kind of help keep her iron levels up at a normal level. The next question is, how do you walk onto a college team? This is a great question. For those of you who don't know, I walked onto the BYU distance team. When I was first getting recruited by BYU, they brought me on a visit and they went to talk to me about scholarship and all that kind of stuff. They thought I was serving a mission and I was going to be gone for 2 years. I told them I wasn't serving a mission because I'm not LDS, and so that means they did not have any scholarship money or even a spot for me on the team that year. So I chose to walk on instead and try out for the team. The awesome thing about it is that Coach Eystone was extremely helpful in letting me know what I needed to do to walk onto the team. Most other schools and colleges do have minimum standards for walking on the team. A common mistake a lot of people do when trying to walk onto a team is not communicating with the coach and the coaching staff as well. A lot of people just think if you run the time, you can walk into the coach's office and say, hey, I ran this time, let me on the team. And usually that is just not how it works. A big aspect of recruiting is the coach to athlete relationship. And it's important that the coach knows who you are and what you're doing. This really helps establish a relationship between you and the coach, and they know who to look out for in these races and can plan accordingly. All right, and the next question is, after running a 100-mile week, how do you recover/prepare for the next week? As I've said before, recovery is the most important thing when it comes to running. It does not matter how hard you work if you are not recovering right. Eating, sleeping, and strength training are the 3 biggest things that you can do to help prevent injury. As I've said in previous videos, I don't normally stretch or roll out, but I will stretch or roll out if a muscle feels extra tight or extra sore. One of my favorite things I like to do at least once a week is take an Epsom salt bath. You can go to the store. Dr. Teal's is the Epsom salt that I use. What this Epsom salt does is it increases blood flow. It helps with magnesium, which reduces soreness, reduces inflammation, and all sorts of things like that. And another big thing you can do, which I think a lot of people underestimate, is slowing down on your recovery runs. I'm not running 7-minute pace every day. Some days I'm really tired and I go more like 7:30 to even 7:45 pace.
Next question, is it hard being around someone with such similar interests?
Despite what many of you would think, I actually would argue that it is the best thing in the world that we have similar interests. And I think that the fact that it's running that we're both super passionate about helps out a lot, because running is such an individual sport. It allows us to kind of do our own things. But since we are both runners ourselves, we understand kind of the hard work, the effort, the pains and sorrows that go into trying to run competitively.
Yeah, it's a fun thing and we're both super passionate about it. So it makes it even better that we get to share this passion together.
The next question is, would Mica ever consider running a marathon?
Yes, I would consider running a marathon. I feel like I have a pretty good long distance background. I love long runs and long workouts, tempos. So I think a marathon is definitely my future. Right now though, I just didn't want to make that huge adjustment yet. So I'm sticking to the track, and then hopefully in a couple of years, I'll run the marathon. Who knows? We'll see.
Okay, next question is, how do you know if you are training too hard, and how do you know if you're training enough? This to me is a good question, and I think it is something that all runners are constantly trying to figure out for themselves. And that is honestly the whole sport of running, is just figuring out your own personal limits, your body, and kind of what you can handle. How do you know if you are training too hard? That's kind of an easier one to spot, because a lot of the times there will be physical symptoms such as injuries that can happen, burnout, the bigger symptoms of knowing if you're training too hard. Sometimes though, some people are just more injury prone, and there's simple tweaks and fixes that they can make to actually increase their mileage or run harder workout. Now, in terms of trying to figure out how to know if you are training enough, it's a balancing act between how much mileage you can hit while also having good workouts and good races. It's a learning process. Unfortunately, it's trial and error. There's certain things you can do to help minimize the risk of overtraining or undertraining, which is going up slowly and, you know, taking your time with the process.
Okay, for me personally, what I've realized is that in workouts, I should be able to finish feeling like I could do a couple more reps. I think that helps you overall, like in the long term, being able to save a little bit of energy for your race, and then overall in your season, not feel burnt out at the end. And you want to feel like in control in your workouts. You want to always feel in control of your training and use that momentum for more workouts and more races.
Okay, the next question that we're going to talk about, we get a lot of DMs and comments on our videos every day asking us how to run a faster 5K. So we are going to give some tips on the 5K race.
So the 5K is just like any other race. You want to really just mentally relax and stay controlled. That first mile, you don't even want to think about how many laps you have left. That second mile, you want to make sure that you're moving. You want to try to find like a group of people to run with that second mile, because it can feel a little bit lonely, and it's always good to have someone to work with. And then that third mile is where it's going to start to hurt really bad. Usually it hurts like with 800 to go or a K to go for me, but you want to just keep building and building all the way to the end. And you always have more than you think you do. So always remember that.
Okay, here is the deal with the 5K and 5K training. A lot of people think that with 5K training, all you have to do is just run 5K pace the whole time. And that is just simply not true. For any event, any distance, any race, you should be hitting paces slower and faster than 5K pace, as well as some 5K paced workouts. So it's all about having that speed endurance, threshold, strength, speed, balance, and kind of incorporating that into your training. And so I'm just gonna list off some of my favorite 5K workouts so you guys can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. 8x400, 90 seconds rest at mile pace is always a great 5K workout. Even though you're running much faster than 5K pace, this is still going to hit a much needed zone for the 5K. Another good 5K workout is 6 to 8 by 800 at 5K pace with 2 to 3 minutes rest. This is a great workout because it helps you practice hitting 5K pace for multiple laps at a time. And then finally, you can never go wrong with a 4 to 5 mile tempo at tempo pace. All right, guys, we are on day 3 of making this video. We just got so many questions. I wasn't expecting it to take this long. I'm gonna just go over the last few questions with you guys. First question is, what are some exercises / workouts you've done that you felt have had a great impact? So I get these type of questions all the time. Questions of, what are workouts that I can do to get me faster? What is gonna have the biggest impact in my overall training? Now, I will give my answer to what I think has helped me personally kind of develop my running and get stronger overall. But I just wanna say first, the biggest thing you can do to get better isn't going to be one big workout or really hard workouts or really high mileage. It's honestly about getting good at all the things we've talked about in this video, getting really good at doing the fundamentals. Obviously in this video, I've talked a lot about nutrition, recovery, sleep, all that good stuff. But if you can consistently do that every single day, along with the workouts, along with the mileage, you will go very far in the sport. The biggest thing that helped me get breakthroughs and gain improvement is stacking healthy seasons on healthy seasons of just consistent training, right? It doesn't matter if you can run really fast workouts. It doesn't matter if you can do high mileage for one season. What matters is that you stay healthy for multiple seasons and stack on that training. So if you have to sacrifice some of that mileage and some of these hard workouts to stay healthy, I believe that is the best case in having a sustainable and successful running career. The biggest change from high school to college was obviously volume and the quality of workouts and mileage I was doing. I eventually found my mileage sweet spot, which is about 90 to 100 miles, but it took me years to build up to that point. What I did every summer was I would just go up 10 miles. So my first year at BYU, I was running 70 miles a week. That next summer, I worked my way up to 80, did that for a whole year, then worked my way up to 90, did that for a whole year until I got to about 100. But again, mileage and workouts mean nothing if you can't stay healthy for a long period of time doing them. All right, next question is, what is your shoe rotation? Now, I like to pride myself in not having a set shoe rotation. When I was in high school, I would only wear one pair of shoes. That was an Asics pair. I can't even remember what it was, but I would just buy that model of shoe every time I needed a new pair of shoes. That quickly changed as I got older because I realized that me running in different pairs of shoes actually helped me stay injury-free. This is because each shoe will work your leg muscles a little bit differently, and having a variety in the shoes that you wear will overall strengthen your legs. BYU was a Nike school, so they gave us Nikes for free. But even when I was in college, I was always making sure I had at least 3 pairs of shoes in my rotation that weren't Nike shoes. And my current rotation, what I got going on right now is I have the Hoka Cliftons, the Hoka Bondis, and the Cloud Monsters, as well as the Nike Pegasus. But in the past year, I've ran in shoes like the Adidas Boston, the New Balance 1080, the Mizuno Wave Rider, the Nike Vomero. And then, you know, in terms of super shoes, I also wear it all. The Nike Vaporflies and Alphaflies I'm a fan of. I wear the Saucony Endorphin Elites, as well as the On Cloud Boom Echoes. I wear the Puma Nitro Deviates. So I do have an extensive shoe selection, and that is purposeful because I really do think that running in a variety of shoes helps keep me healthy. All right, the last question is, what inspired you to make online running content? And do you have any advice for aspiring creators? So Mica was actually the one who inspired me to start posting my content online. She obviously had a TikTok. She wasn't posting necessarily running content on there. She just posted whatever she wanted. I was training really hard, and she said, hey, you should just throw your stuff up there anyways. It's kind of fun. And so that's what I did. I started throwing up my workouts, making cheesy running videos, running edits, and that kind of stuff. And it was fun. I really just did it because I'm a nerd about running, and I like to post about things that other runners might have experienced as well. It was not my intention to even try and make money off this or make it big at all. I was really just doing it because I enjoyed doing it. And now I guess the goal of my running channel has changed a little bit. I mean, I would still be posting my stuff even if I was getting 0 views, but now that I have a little bit of a platform, I definitely want to try and help as many runners as I can, because I have made a lot of mistakes in my own running career, and if I can help others avoid that, I think that is a great thing. You know, and I one day hope to be able to do this full-time, and if not full-time, I one day hope to get to the point where I can be dropping multiple videos a week, giving you guys higher quality content than I'm able to get through now. I mean, it has taken me a week to film this video, and it's gonna take me a little bit to edit it as well. So, you know, one day I'm hoping to be able to put a little bit more effort and energy into this to give you guys higher quality content, to answer more of your guys' questions and that kind of stuff. But for now, this is what I'm doing. I love it, and I'm planning on doing it for as long as I'm running. Now, my advice to aspiring creators is to post your content. You have to get started right now. I say this because a lot of people are afraid to be seen trying. A lot of people are afraid to be bad at something. And I'll admit, when I first started, my running videos were bad. I look back at those videos and I say, those are not high quality at all. I'm sure in a year from now, I'm gonna look back at this video and I'm gonna say, wow, this was a bad video. But I think it's important not to let that fear of not being good at something right away stop you from doing something that you really wanna do. So my advice is just to post your stuff. You'll learn as you go, and don't get caught up in what other people are thinking. And with that, that is my last question. As I'm recording this right now, I am a little over 2 weeks away from my next marathon, so I'm just about to head into the taper. Hopefully I'll have a couple more videos to post before my marathon, and I hope to be able to do another Q&A very soon. So if you have any more questions, drop them below and I'll do my best to answer those. If you guys like the content, please share, subscribe. Yeah, thank you guys for watching.